My name is Bruce Hardaway. I am a longtime resident of Winter Haven, born and raised here in Polk County in Winter Haven. Uh, I'm 72 years old. I went to Winter Haven High School. I graduated from Winter Haven High School in 1970 when there was full integration. My earliest Winter Haven memory is coming to this facility when I was a real young man, back in my teens. Uh, Down here at we had the beach that was open, and we would come and swim every summer. And Along with that, we would hang out to the high school during the summer. So those are some of my fondest memories. We would uh, look for empty bottles. One year we found 3,000 bottles. In those days, you can sell them for two for a penny for each bottle. So we raised enough money to have a little party for ourselves at our little clubhouse. Yeah. So some of those are my fondest memories. At the time, my parents, okay, and my church pastor and all those that went to church, and a few other folks that had something to do with integration in our community, like Reverend Atkins, to name one person out of there, Mr. Ulysses Johnson, an educator. Uh, uh, and so some of those are the type of the folks that I had a major influence, along with my school teachers. My first grade teacher name was Miss Peterson. I'll never forget her. She she was a motivator, and I've been in contact with her ever since. I think that was in the early '50s to now. hmm In the process of working in the citrus industry, they were right up on a lot of snakes and stuff. Yeah. And one day we were lifting up a limb, and there was a giant rattlesnake squirrel up under the limb. And my father, he eventually killed the snake. Yeah. Well, not with his bare hands, but he was brave enough to go ahead and do that. Yeah. So the incidents like that we remember from that time period. But my dad was a he didn't go no farther than the sixth grade, but he was a jack of all trades, and a master of none. Yeah. So my brother Larry Hardaway, went to Winnebago High School, uh, played football. They ended up going to Davidson College, got a scholarship, and then he left there and went on to University of Florida and went to law school. Yeah. So he and we grew up under my father's tutelage, and which was very, very interesting, growing up under his tutelage. I think most of my classmates, the guys that I grew up with, uh, and my cousins, I had some cousins that we were, pretty tight together, and we had fun together and stuff. One name was James Richardson. He has passed away since then. Uh, and another one named Theodis Richardson. Okay, and some guys out of Tampa that would come over during the summer, and we would hang out and stuff, go swimming and that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah. After I graduated from high school, I left here, moved to Rochester, New York, stayed there 2 years, and got drafted and went into the military. Stayed in there a few years, got out of the military. I stayed in Newark, New Jersey, okay, for about 5 or 6 years. Then I came back to Winter Haven, all right, and I got a job at the box plant in Auburndale, uh, called PCA. I stayed there for about 28 years. Left there, went and got a security job down at Bartow Courthouse. Yeah, I was doing security work there. Very interesting place. A lot of criminals going through. I had to learn to be a people's person, all right? Because in an industry like that, you deal with different kinds of people, and so I had to deal with some criminals and stuff. Got to know some of the deputy sheriffs, some of the judges, because my brother was an attorney, and he introduced me to a lot of folks down there. And so, and during the course of my everyday job, the judges would come by my station, and we would have a conversation. So the people that worked with me, they were astonished. Saying, why did the judges come by and talk to you and don't talk to nobody else?" I said, because my brother talks to them when he comes down. So I had an interesting job down at the courthouse. Stayed down there for about 5 or 6 years until I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So I had to go on disability. And from there, I've been on that ever since. That was in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Always keep God first, right? If you keep God first, you can't go wrong, right? Never lean on your own understanding, only lean on God's word, okay? And that'll take you all the way through until He comes back for us. Okay, that's my one and probably the basic stuff that I live by myself right now. Yeah, yeah. As growing up, I've been inundated with the word. I was my parents brought me up in the Baptist space. All right, and as I grew up in the church, I learned a lot more about it. Now, when I became a teenager, I would I and some of the other guys, we would slip out of church, okay, and go down on the street and hang out. And then when we think church is about over, we would come back and get integrated back into the church. My parents never found that out, which was good, you know. But what I learned, I always kept that with me. I always keep God first. I prayed, you know. And when I became an adult and got out on my own, I was able to navigate through life, you know. Then when I went in the military, I was ready for that because I was able to follow instructions because of what I went through in church. And so I've been following that philosophy, those teachings. Never forgot them. I strayed away a little bit, but I was always uh, uh, squared up, had my life squared up. And so that kept me out of the penitentiary, kept me out of the graveyard, unlike a lot of folks. Okay. So that's, if you keep God first, there'll always be a winner. Yeah. That's my message to the future generations. And we pray that there will be some future generations because of the atmosphere in the world that we live in today. It's very difficult, you know. So you have to have God as your spiritual guidance along the way. Yeah. The old Recreation Center was not built when I left here. I left here in 1970. There was no rec there. Okay. And when I came back, 5, 6, 7 years later, that the recreation center that they tore down, it was there. It was brand new. But the only facility that I knew at the time was this place right here. This is we used to play ping pong and all kind of activities, basketball, tennis, out on this little area out here. Right? And then you had the beach where you would go and go swimming every day. But that was the biggest part of our memories. I lived there maybe about a quarter of a mile from here at the time. I would come down here, my brother and I, my younger brother, come down here barefooted, with swimming trunks on, no shirt on, right? In the summertime, walk in the streets. The streets are hot, right? We hurry up and come on and get in the water, stay there all day long, right? And then once we're done with that, drive off and go back home. So we had fun. Yeah, we had fun. We were like in a little cocoon here in the area here, and so we were kind of sheltered. All right, I really didn't go out of this area until I got ready to go to One Neighbor High and the integrated, because we always go in the area there. Yeah, so those are some of the times that we will look back on and see the difference between now and then. Yeah. The one time that I did go in the Ritz Theater, I went with some older guys. I was younger than they were, and what they had to do, they got somebody else's ID, and then I was able to go on with them. Okay, and we had to sit up in the balcony, okay, because it was second grade at the time. All right, Lake Silver was the same way. We swam around here for many years until it got fully integrated. And then we were able to go to Lake Silver and swim freely. Yeah. Now we did have a movie theater in the neighborhood off of First Street that we would tend to. But other than that, we'd have to go downtown. Yeah, but that was the only time I went in there. And and then they had different ratings. And the movie that we went to see was rated R. It was shocking in the early 70s and stuff. But I was they were old enough to go in. I think I might have been 15, you know.
Oh, I see.
And so, but my parents never didn't know that I went in there. So we did a lot of things behind my parents' back, but we never got in any trouble, Yeah. When I left here, my brother was still in high school. Oh, so uh, I had to learn about any of his achievements from a distance. And I remember him telling me that he played football at one Haven High, got the scholarship, and he was going to Davidson. All right, and he was president of his class and that sort of thing. I think he went to Boys State too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yeah. So he was pretty popular. My main thing was to graduate from high school. All right, because my parents didn't graduate. So coming out of the family of seven, I would have been the first one out of high school. Okay, and so that was my main goal, to get out, because I didn't want my father's name to be tainted by me not being able to graduate. So your name carries weight, and it'll in this interview it would carry the same weight for future generations, because I have some grandchildren, uh, uh, and they'll maybe hear about Pa's name and this particular interview and stuff. But my brother passed away here in 2021. Yeah, had some physical condition, but other than that, he did pro bono work for folks, um, and he was telling me, he said, "Man, I should have been saving more money." I kept telling him, I said, "Why don't you go into corporate law, get away from me, the pro bono and all that stuff, make your money, right, and then come back out, and then spread yourself around." Yeah, but his philosophy was to give back to the community, because the community helped him along the way, and that's the way it was with him. Yeah, pretty generous guy. So yeah. First of all, he was down in Miami. He worked down there uh, with another cousin of his. Both were attorneys, and they moved up here, and he was working out of Lakeland. Okay, that was his office over there in Lakeland, off of uh, the boulevard over there. Yeah, and he stayed right there for a long time. It's somebody still owe him some money, yeah, but so I'm thankful for this interview, right? So along with the little wisdom that I conveyed to you, uh, it'll 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 be, as you say, in future generations, right? So my name and my picture and stuff will be like everybody else's, from back in the day, like Babe Ruth and all those folks.
Mm,
Yeah, be
I
famous,
like that.
just like yes.
Dear Daydream.